The city has it all but saints. My partner and I have spent years investigating the worst that this game has to offer, and here we are to tell you about the worst exploits that WoW Rating has ever seen. Tonight, we're talking about exploits in the history of the Waste to World First and Rating. I think that's as long as I can do that bit. Oh God. It's cinematic. This is why we're here. First up, we're going way back to 04, 05. Cthulhu. It's a different time, a different place. These scumbags, they did the most heinous of crimes. Despawning a texture so they could skip straight to the boss. Skipping so many designers' hard work, wasted. You see that right there? That panel of ground? 10 lines of code and that sucker disappears. My friend, you're straight to the last boss. That's a 30-minute time save. And that, my friends, is a no bueno. My friend, down at Blizzard, send you straight to jail. Perma bans across the board. They got what they deserved. But we never learned. 17 years later, they're still here at it. Cheating, lying, everything.
A lot of bad dudes in my day.
A lot of bad dudes in the city. A lot of bad dudes. Barkeep, give me a drink. You know, feels like there's no justice in the world anymore, Kams. Just feels like no matter what happens, there's just so few people you can rely on. That's why I like my friend Kalamazi.
My man.
One of the few things I can rely on.
What have you got tonight?
Stiff drink at the end of a day. But yeah, exploits in the history of the Race to World First. We're talking about it. I don't know. We had to go way back for this one. There's a very long history on this topic. I can't spend 30 minutes talking like that, unfortunately. I'd be a much cooler person if I could. But thank you so much for joining us here. You are so much cooler than me, and I hate it.
That's right.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
My hands are very full.
Your hands are very full, but you're pulling it off.
You couldn't break like that.
No, I'm sorry. It's a rookie move. I'm going to be honest. I thought about how to get here, but I didn't think about how to transition into a normal show from here. I don't know. Kalamazi, when did you start playing WoW? TBC. Okay. So you're vaguely familiar. This next one is actually kind of interesting. The first one, like the Cthulhu thing, that actually did happen. Guilds despawned the texture there, and they were able to just skip and basically just save like half an hour or something, and they got like crazy permit. And that's like one of the first big like dramas where a bunch of people like just quit the game. You know, I mean, this is one of the first like really major like guild-wide actionings that I can think of. There were a couple examples earlier on, but this is like the first like big one that you had. Like I was like, you know, like 20 plus people quit the game over basically. This next one though I think is really interesting. Kalamazi, did you do Sunwa?
Vague. I did, but
do you remember KJ?
Yes, but not any kind of exploits that happened.
So this is a weird one actually, because it's not an exploit, and this is interesting because at the time it was considered an exploit by some people, and some people thought it was cheesing, and it's going to sound hilarious to us by modern day standards. But basically, the boss would target people with a debuff that spawned ads, and if you ice blocked it, the ads wouldn't spawn.
I could see that back in the day being.
That's the exploit, which by modern, you are committing to this.
My lungs are burning.
That's the coolest thing I've heard all day. And basically, by just ice blocking, you would stop some ads from spawning. Like Argus, this is like standard practice now.
This is every day.
Yeah, immune things so stuff doesn't spawn. But this is this is like more of a cultural thing. There's no bannings or suspensions or anything. I think that was mine. It's a thanks, barkeep. We're just in and out of the bit.
Second hand.
It's good for you in this era.
Just blowing smoke.
Can the doctor on set bring me another?
It's okay. So it's a bit of a cultural difference with the that being considered an exploit at the time. Because obviously, by modern day standards, immuning a mechanic so it doesn't happen is just, like you said, as every day. I mean,
that's everyday stuff.
That's not something we think twice about. But the culture around like world first rated, it's like almost like an honor code kind of thing, where it's like, no, do the fight right, guys. Don't do the fight the wrong way. You've got to deal with the ads the way that the designers intended. And now it's just like, screw the designers. We're going to immune everything. We're bringing 20 mages. We're blocking everything. We're kiting the boss, Like that is the regular. The game has changed tremendously since a point in time where we would consider this oh my where we would consider this an exploit. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember the next one I had. I'm pretty sure it was the Lich King stuff, right? I don't know. Give me the title card. For whatever the next one was. I don't remember what's going on. I've lost track entirely of what's going on. Oh, is this one mine? Oh, this is the skip. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I was getting ahead of myself on the Cthulhu one. This is the skip that you did on Cthulhu, basically. You're able to just walk to the boss after you despawn that floor. Sorry, Kams distracted me with his handsomeness. So I skipped ahead a little bit in the schedule there. So the KJ one was technically after that, but what can I say? I'm a little drunk. Whatever.
That was around when I lost my first child to the frost.
What? You threw your first child to the frost?
I lost him to the frost.
Which frost?
The frost
Great Snow of 84.
19.
Of 19?
1919.
Oh. That's a bummer, man. I'm sorry.
Sir, your cigarettes. Never mind.
Oh my, you're drinking from the cigarette one?
The cigarette is still in there.
Yeah, it is. Yes, the cigarette is still in. Okay, we can go to the KJ exploit title card. It's beautiful. Oh, dude. That is an ugly guy. That is a facial expression. What is that? Have you ever seen that picture of KJ with that facial expression? You got bad eyes, I know.
Reminds me of the war.
Which war?
Of 22.
Oh God, that was dark. Yeah, but KJ.
It was dark.
KJ, ice blocks, etc. We can go to the next title card. The Martin Fury. Oh, this one's cool. Oh, I remembered this. Okay. So Martin Fury. This is a neat one. So basically, when GMs used to send gear back to players, they would actually have to manually enter in the item ID that they were mailing back to players. Somebody had their account hacked, and they were getting a bunch of items recovered. And the GM accidentally sent back this item. This is in WoW's database. This is item ID number 17. It was supposed to be 17,000. Oh my God, 17, sorry, the drink's hitting, man. 17,304 or whatever. But instead, they just sent back 17. And this item used to have an on use that just said, kills all enemies within 30 yards, which is kind of good. So the guy who got this, rather than being a good little World of Warcraft gamer, was like, well, a GM sent this to me. I guess I just have it now. And so they were just running around Ulduar completing all of these hard modes with an item that just killed bosses. So you'd enable the hard mode and then just one-shot the boss. And
That's great.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting too, right? Because this is kind of the start of kind of questionable stuff as far as enforcement goes, where you can kind of see both sides, right? Because it's dude, a GM literally mailed you this item and you're using it. Right? It's I mean, come on, and it's
Not your fault.
I mean, it isn't, but it is, right? Because it's dude,
It's fair play.
fair play.
I think it's fair play.
Well, and you've got to remember, okay, so the item itself is it's before there. So going way back in WoW, there used to be I think it was seven item rarities, right? So the ones which is junk, common, uncommon, rare, epic. And then you had legendary, then you had artifact, and then you had red, which was a GM item, a test item. And those the in-game links were red for those. And this was a yellow link back in Wrath. There were no artifacts in the game at this point that looked like that. So you knew you were getting an item wasn't intended. Would you use it, Kalamazi? If you got it?
It's fair play. Got sent to me.
Would you rip it?
I'd-
You'd flip on the stream, dude. You get on the front page of MMO Champ. You plug it, do it for the Vine.
More ad revenue. Yeah, why not?
They shut down
More
the
views.
GM factory in my town.
Julie's your
We
job.
lost everything in
Which 25?
1925,
Which War of 22?
the Great War,
Which 22?
1922.
There. Which war in 1922?
Roll the next slide.
Okay. Lich King exploit. Okay. So we had the Lich King exploit. This is a pretty well-known one. The Insidia. And this is a weird one. This is exactly like the last one in terms of questionable enforcement, where so you can see here on the side, right? There's this wall, this platform that's about to just fall, right? And as it falls, this is just a mechanic in the fight. You see it collapses down there. Now, that matters because there are Valkyries on this fight that would pick you up, and they would attempt to drop you off the edge there that was just created. And as a standard part, if you go to, at the times, the equivalent of, Wowhead or Icy Veins, a class guide, if you were a rogue, they would tell you, or an enhancement shaman, they would tell you, use Serenite bombs as a part of your rotation. It is a DPS gain to do so. It's kind of expensive, but this is a world first guild, so they would do that. Now, the server-side script that they used to despawn that platform as a part of the boss fight, for whatever reason, was broken by you using Serenite bombs, because Serenite bombs dealt siege damage, which means that in something like Winter Grasp, they would deal damage to vehicles. Now, apparently, those the ice floor would get rebuilt by your Serenite bombs. Inexplicably, at some point in the boss, this would just respawn. And so when these Valkyries come down, they take you over to the edge where the ice has reformed and drop you down on it. So instead of having to CC and kill these ads, you just ignore them, and somebody's just CC'd for 10 seconds, and then they get dropped, and that's it. Now, people noticed in the kill shot for the boss that Insidia, typically at the end of the boss, the platform has a specific shape. That isn't spawned. But in their kill shot, people noticed that that was up. And so people started asking questions like, why is that spawned? And then as it turns out, Insidia later made a big deal, and they're like, oh, well, we didn't know or anything like that. And it was a, it was a whole big thing. People had no idea what was going on. And then Blizzard came out and banned them. Now, this is for a normal mode. This isn't for a heroic world first or anything. This is, it is the world first for normal mode, but even at the time, it's like us finding out that like a guild accidentally took advantage of something on the jailer and then got banned for it. Like everybody would be like, who cares? Like, it's normal mode jailer. Like nobody is watching that. Like it's not a requisite for anything. It's like it could have been one of any 10 guilds that actually got it.
I won't tell you what I've seen siege damage do.
That's a 1,000-yard stare. He's seen things. You okay there, Kalamazi?
Are you okay there, sir?
I have a drinking problem.
I'll take care of that, don't worry.
Dragon Soul. Thanks, barkeep. Dragon Soul. Now this is when you get into the real scum fucks of the world. And by that, I mean, like, basically every guild in the world top 10 at the time. So there was an exploit with Dragon Soul, LFR. This one gets referenced a lot, because this is kind of like after, this is like knowing infraction. This isn't like Lich King questionable enforcement. This is like everybody just kind of broke the rules on this one. It's not as heinous as some people think. So what the common misconception is that people think you are queuing LFR multiple times and just doing some like secret jujitsu to get loot. And that's not the case. What you were doing is you were basically able to go in, and if you had 25 people and everybody passed on loot, because back in the day you had a little loot pop-up that would come and you could need it, greet it, pass. If everybody passed, then you could take the loot off the boss. Now, it still consumed the lockout for 24 of the people there. Like, they couldn't get loot drops again. But you were able to essentially force the loot drops onto a specific person in the group. So, in a sense, it's just like master looting LFR. That's what was happening. So you weren't getting bonus loot. You were just getting to choose who got loot in the group, which is obviously very, very good. But it's not quite, people thought you were getting bonus loot or a bunch of extra loot, which is not the case. But this was something that was really widely abused. I think this was like 9 or 10 guilds that actually got banned, including, of course, at the time, world number 1 and 2, which was Paragon and Method. And this is actually part of the reason why I believe Paragon ended up going back down to 10-man. Was because of this banning, which was a pretty like dramatic thing at the top of the at the top end at the time. You had. Ultimately for this tier, all of these guilds got an 8-day ban, which basically put them out of, they had all of the gear removed and an 8-day ban, which meant that they weren't able to play until the heroic week after Mythic Week started, just in using modern day parlance, because at the time it was LFR normal heroic, but basically they missed the first full week of Mythic and subsequently a ton of gear. Because of how big of a disadvantage that was, you actually ended up seeing, and there's some arguments to be made here, but you ended up seeing a guild from Korea, Stars, not Stars, I'm wasted. I can't remember the name of the guild who ended up killing Dragon Soul, or Spine of Deathwing, and Madness of Deathwing world first. But a very, very, a guild that basically hadn't taken world firsts before. But there's also the factor that they had an extremely stacked raid of staves from the other. From Firelands, which is something that most of the other guilds didn't have. So there's some argument to be made about like, oh, well, they would have gotten world first anyway. But like, it's questionable. But it definitely shaped that race by quite a lot.
This reminds me of how I lost my second son.
How'd you lose your second son?
It was in the coal mines. It caught fire. We call it the Dragon Soul.
What? Okay, that's a bummer, man. The Dragon Soul? Is that in Pennsylvania?
It was down south.
Florida.
It's in Florida.
You were there. I remember you.
Okay. All right. This is fine. This is a good one. So this is when we get into the definition of noir, the flawed hero. Because this is an exploit performed by none other than Team Malice, on which at the time there was, of course, notorious NA bad boy TM Sean, but also Limit Maximum, or now, I suppose, Complexity Limit Maximum, or Liquid Maximum, and of course Preheat, who later went on to be a member of, Limit for quite a while. And this exploit on Garajal basically let them, as you can see on the screen, each one of those like little dots is actually a ghost that they are just completely ignoring. Basically, there was like a little sliver of an area that LOS'd the entire room, but the boss wouldn't reset. And it's a circular room. It doesn't even seem like you should be able to exploit it like that, but they somehow found out that you could do that and then chose to do that and then subsequently got crazy banned for it. Like, because it's like one of the most blatant exploits, like where it's like, and after it got leaked, that's how they did it. They took a screenshot. I couldn't find it, but they took a screenshot of themselves in a tree saying they can't find us up here. And they live streamed themselves getting banned. Like it was like the weirdest happening of all time. But yeah, that's where a little Maximum and Preheat got their start. And I think there was a couple other, I think Dosu was in the guild at the time or something like that. I don't know, maybe Tags, but it was I
believe so. I don't remember.
This is Team Malice. It was a weird time. But yeah, that's the Garagel exploit. I mean, next one?
My first wife, her name was Garajal.
What? That's it? Okay.
Lost her in a tree.
She just climbed up and never came back down. It sucks, man. I'm sorry. That's anyway, hell yeah. So this is one that also involves so this is jumping forward to how the very middle of tier 20. So hell yeah, this was December of 2017, and hell yeah, banger of a boss, very very good boss, but also dreadfully exploitable, unfortunately. So she had a breath that spawned a bunch of ads that you had to kill. Something liquefactions, I don't know. But there were these blobs that you basically had to kill. Did a ton of damage. Like, it's a very, 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 very difficult, like one of the main mechanics of the fight. It was a breath weapon. So it targeted the tank. Now, in modern day, WoW, the first thing you try when you have something like that targets a player, you're like, dude, what happens if they die during the cast, right? So some guilds did this. And so as a pivotal strat for the boss, some guilds would sack their tank. Now, the boss had a bug where some of the time, it wouldn't just cancel the cast. She would actually never cast that for the rest of the boss, or for the rest of the encounter. And that obviously made the fight significantly easier. Now, this is a particularly weird one because this is one of those ones where players like flagged it for Blizzard and they're like, hey, it does this. Is this fine? And they just kind of don't get like a response. And so like, okay, I guess this is fine. And then they do it, and both Exorcist and Limit later ended up getting a ban for this one. And as a result, Exorcist didn't get their clean sweep on tier 20 because they killed Xavius, and then they got banned on this raid instead of getting the world first. And then Method ended up getting the world first here, and then later on in Gul'dan, they actually got their they got the world first there. So Exorcist would have had their clean sweep on tier 20 were it not for hell yeah, hell of a dame.
When I lost my wife.
Yeah, you mentioned.
First words I said, hell yeah.
Jesus. Oh, that's full sugar Pepsi. That's why that's got me fucked up. Okay. That makes sense. No, sugary soda gets me, man.
It's definitely the sugar that has gotten me messed up as well.
Oh, you'll smoke, but no swearing. That makes sense. You gotta have your lines, I guess. Okay. This next one, Kams. This one hits closer to home than Garagel. This is the Limit RMT ban. This is a bad one. I don't know. You know this. Well, you were in the guild at the time, right?
Yeah, I was.
Walk me through it, man. What happened? Tell me your story.
I was on the beach in California, looking at my phone, and I saw that they were getting banned while I was on vacation, and I had to come back and be in the raid.
You didn't get banned?
No.
You a good boy?
I was a good boy, but there were some bad boys.
That's a bummer, man. What's that mean? What does it mean? You just... This is a pretty pivotal ban for Limit, because it was really bad for them. So this happened right before TOS, Tomb of Sargeras. This is coming out summer. I think it's maybe this is 2017. Yeah, this was 2017. Yeah, the previous. I don't care. Dates don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's time's made up. Right before TOS, and so. They, because of this ban, felt pressured to buy a bunch of accounts because they're like, well, we still want to compete in TOS. You know, they're a competitive guild at the time. And also, Blizzard was coming off just like a wild 10-year bender of just not giving a single shit about like RMT, account sharing, or anything like that. Like, I mean, I don't know if people don't know this, but like, dude, for like a decade, Blizzard basically just didn't care. Like, I mean, they did, and if you're really blatant about stuff, like if you streamed sales or that stuff, you'd get caught. But like, dude, for a long time, their RMT was just wild. Like, I mean, CM carries during MOP was like RMT central. Like, as soon as sales started in MOP, which is like kind of when sales started to become like a real big thing, like, dude, it was just huge. And because it was so prevalent so quickly, because obviously there's money to be made, you know, like a lot of, you know, people aging out and becoming boomers, but still wanting stuff done. You know, like it was very prevalent in top guilds, and so everybody was kind of just doing it. And you know, it's one of those things where like it's hard to stop once it's going on because you're talking about basically banning like every guild in the world top 50 or players out of the world, every guild in the world top 50. Like it's crazy how prevalent this was, and this was kind of them taking their first stance at it where they're like, we're just doing all these bans. And Limit, not so smart, didn't really take the hint. We're just like, maybe we'll just buy some accounts. And then all of those accounts got banned, not terribly surprisingly. I think that was a little bit of a Dosu leak there, I think was the lore on that one, but I don't recall exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think a lot of them were people had other characters, like just their alts, and they transferred them to a different account. And then those like both got banned because it was like trying to evade the bans, which is bannable.
Good shit, man. Good shit. Oh. Okay. And yeah, that was a big deal. Basically, it meant Limit didn't really compete in TOS and kind of got that was and so after the double tap on the bans though, Limit was like, we never break the rules again. We're good boys, which I think has mostly been true in the time since. But like Limit very much got the reputation as being like big cheaters, but because of that, they were like, we're never breaking the rules again. And so it's like this kind of weird discongruity where people I think thought Limit was bigger cheaters than they actually were for the most part. Jumping forward to the next one, though, this one's on my rap sheet. I did this really badly and got a big boy, like a week-long suspension for this. This is Ivis the Forest Lord. Big old goofball. His lockout was broken, and he didn't lock you out, so you could just kill him over and over to get Azerite. And at the time... Yeah, dude. Did you do this, Kalamazi? Yeah, Kalamazi did it! I saw it on his face. He's a little liar, man. He's a liar.
Resident.
I don't think I actually did, but if I had known, I feel like I heard about it.
Tell me your
But
story.
I don't. There is no story besides the fact that I heard about it.
No wife?
No wife, no
You're
kids.
telling me this guy's lost his wife? This guy lost his son? This guy
Nope.
fought in the war?
No witnesses.
This son's...
Two sons
his
and a dog.
2 sons and a dog and the GM factory
Daughter.
in his town shut down and they lost everything. And you don't have anything,
I
Kalamazi?
was there with his son in Florida.
Near Dragon's Hole.
Dragon's Ole?
Tough times. Hot as shit.
It's actually my daughter, but you can call her a dog.
Oh my god! I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna call your daughter a dog.
You want a drink?
It's okay, she's dead now.
What? Okay. What? Ivis. That's where we were. Yeah. So it was, you wouldn't get locked out, and at the time there was a currency you could get. He dropped Azerite pieces. You disenchant the Azerite pieces. You'd get the Titaned Residuum, the chalk, and then once you got the chalk, you could buy pieces next tier, and Bob's your uncle. I don't know. Next one, let's run it, man.
You want to hear about my Uncle Bob?
Yeah, I want to hear about your Uncle Bob, guy.
It's no Uncle Bob.
You got me good. I don't.
Sorry.
It's okay. I know you'd never lie to me. Kalamazi. Mm-hmm. You got any stories?
Nope.
Okay, man, I guess. Thanks, barkeep. Hey, looking a little dry here. Top me off. You're gonna get my wife's thing. It's very sugary. She'll be very upset.
Good choice of words.
If it looks like I'm laughing, it's actually involuntary spasms from the grenade in the war.
Don't say that around him. It triggers him.
Too.
Get out of here. Go. Go. Some people. What's next? I don't remember what's next. What does that mean? Ivis? Has anything happened since Ivis? BFA. I forgot my notes. I don't know. That was
Lockouts.
That was
What happened with the lockouts?
9:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight. We have the morning show coming on. What'd you say?
The lockouts, the Ivis lockouts. I didn't hear what happened.
Oh, what do you mean? You just didn't get a lockout, and then you got infinite loot, and then you could sell them all.
I didn't do the exploit. I don't know.
I'm sorry. What are you flexing on
I'm
me?
just covering my ass here. I don't want to get banned.
What? I already got banned. They're not. What? They just toss out a ban for this? Like 6.
Eh. Probably.
Okay. Yeah, so 9:30 a.m. You've got the morning show. You got any last words, Cam?
I've heard many last words.
Okay. That's fucked up, I guess.
I won't share them here.
Do you have any
gruesome.
last... Do you know what your last words are going to be, Cams?
That sucked.
True. That's true. It did suck. All right. Well, let me grab my Pepsi-soaked notes. Thank you so much to our sponsors of this segment. I hope you're happy with what your investment has bought. Coinbase Wallet, Jersey Bikes, Alienware, Honda, Twitch, and of course, Secret Lab. Your eternal support means the world to us. And, of course, the United Nations Refugee Agency. Go to teal.gg/UNHCR so you can support that excellent charity. Barkeep, any last words?
Yee.
Yee.